Hello guys, welcome back to our channel The Bisector. Today the topic that we are going to discuss is about something like a self-control. So in this video I will be covering some kind of things like what is self-control, why it is important. Also I will be definitely sharing some kind of 5 powerful techniques to improve your self-control. In that way we'll cover in a good way. Okay, without any further delay, let's get into the topic. At first of all, the thing that I want to tell is something like I wanted to start from very basic. That is, what is self-control? Self-control is the ability to regulate your emotions, your thoughts, and your behavior. So in that way, if you can control everything, like self in the sense, according to me, myself, somewhat we will be telling in that way. Self in the sense I. So I should able to control myself, or I should able to control my mind, everything, every organ in my body, or something with it. Practically everything is not possible, but there are such kind of things which we can control. I mean, take an example, some kind of self-control in a sense. If you are able to control yourself, like you had an exam or you had some kind of test tomorrow, so even though if you're having mobile phone or something other thing, if you wanted to do like that, why? Because you will get some kind of pleasurable feeling, or some dopamines will be releasing in your brain, so you will be liking and you will be somewhat favorable. It will be favorable to you to somewhat use the mobile and to see some, to play games, to somewhat watch movies like that. It will be very good. Your mind, everything will not tire, but while coming to studies you will be tiring. So even though if you are having self-control only, you can able to sit, or you can able to focus on your particular task or particular somewhat some kind of goal or something like that. In that way it will be very good. Until and unless if you having this self-control only, it will be good. If you are not having, it will be problematic, and there are such kind of issues which they may come. So in that way I have to be very clear, and in that way I have to understand the self-control is somewhat what is self-control or something like that. So if you are able to control your emotions, if you are able to control your thoughts, if you are able to control your behavior, so if you are being and if you are mastering all those things, like if some emotion is coming, if you can able to control, it is self-control. Some kind of feeling or thought is coming, if you can able to control the thought, it is called as self-control. If you can control your behavior, it is also called as self-control. So controlling myself is called as self-control. In that way you relate, and in that way you analyze. So it is very important thing that we have to develop. So as I told, another example, like imagine if you are studying, so like you kept your phone, like you thought that and you realized that because of this phone I'm distracting, so I should keep the phone aside. So you put this phone aside, and like that you kept. So you are reading and you are focusing on that. Suddenly a notification came. So generally we will be okay, what is the notification? Okay, maybe important, like that we'll think in that way and we'll go. So after that, I know what will happen. Like we will be seeing the message or some kind of text, and then okay, let me do after 15 minutes, let me do after 5 minutes, let me take break, like that you will think, and you'll scroll up, and at the end of the day 1 hour or 2 hours will complete it. Then you realize, then you will some irritation will start, then the studies also will disturb. So in that way, if you are not having self-control, it will be, or the situation which I told will happen. If you are having self-control, okay, whatever maybe that thing happen, and not bother. So I had some task, I had some goal, or I had some work to do. So tomorrow maybe my exam, or I'm studying. So it is studying time. So using the mobile or doing another things, there was another time which according to my schedule or something like that. So in that way I have to be strong like that. If the notification came or a phone came, okay, if it is important call, it's okay. So if going and seeing and coming, it's not wrong. What I'm telling and is something like, if you're going and busying after the work also, it's wrong. So important call came, okay, talk and okay, completed. Putting your phone aside, and you have to come to the task, or you have to come to the work. That is called as, if you are having self-control, it will happen. In that way, I hope you are clear. So if you are having a self-control only, you can somewhat in every day, in every area, the self-control will be useful for you. Whether it is in relationship, or whether it is studying some kind of studies, or whether it is in career, whether it is a fitness, whatever may be the thing. Like it is included in health also. So in that way I have to relate, and in this way the self-control is very important. So as I told some kind of studies, before I told example. So when the phone ring, or when you are studying, you should not divert, or you should not go for distractions or something like that. If you can able to control somewhat, then you can able to know, and in that way you can able to know the importance of the study and importance of this self-control. And also in your career in a sense, you have to focus, and you have to focus on such kind of skills or all those things. So if you until and unless focus on all those things, so in tomorrow's situation maybe it will be not good. So if you focus, it will be good. In that way, you should relate in that way. And also coming to fitness. So maybe you are such kind of person who was concerned about your some kind of physical health, like the body and how my body is there, somewhat like that. So you used to go to gym every day, and maybe you may go to gym, and like that you are following some kind of thing like that. If you're not having the self control, like okay, if you're going gym, it's not enough, you have to take certain diet, like you have to not eat more sugars, like that some kind of diet will be there. I'm not sure why, because I'm not a person who goes to gym or something like that. I've not had that much idea, but usually I know something like that. So if you are having some kind of cravings, or if you're having to wanted to eat also, you should not eat, you should not consume more sweet or something like that. So in that way, if you are having a self control only, it will be good. Otherwise your fitness also will be gone. And also in relationship in the sense, so maybe in whatever may be the relationship, whether you and between your father and you, maybe at one moment they may talk like some, maybe you may do some mistake. In that way they may somewhat shout, or they may scold you. In that way, if you are having self control, okay, my father only na scolded, okay, I done this mistake, like that, with that intention you will go. If you are not having self control, you also will shout, like that it will become an argument, or it will be not at all good. In that way you have to understand. So I'm just for example, I taken a relationship between a son and father, or daughter and a father, like that. In whatever may be the relationship, if you are not having self control, the relationship will be not being at long lasting or something like that. In that way you relate. So in the relationship also it will be very good. And also even on mental health also it will be impacting when you are not having this self control. So in this way it is very important, one should follow. So take an example, Cristiano Ronaldo, he follows, and somewhat he had some kind of self control. So he restrict all the junk food and all those things. He will only eat the healthy food, and he'll strictly practice, he'll do hard work, even though a lot of distractions coming, like something like that. So if because of doing all these things, because of having this self control, one of the thing, so he was being in a great position. So we can also be in that much great position if we somewhat master the skill, I mean somewhat this self control. In that way you have to understand. Now as I told before, I'll tell and I'll explain you some kind of 5 powerful technique to improve your self control. So at first is the 5 seconds rule. So at first, even if it is me or if it is you, at first no one is not that much, I mean consistent or disciplined, or in that way no one is not that much perfect, but step by step learning something, we are here, or we are going to improve, or we will improve. So first thing that I want to tell is, first tip or some first technique, powerful technique, is something like the 5 seconds rule. The 5 seconds rule, in the sense what you have to do or how to follow this rule, in the sense, so you'll be feeling some kind of temptation, or you'll be wanted to do something which really not useful. So take example, you're studying, so you wanted to somewhat scroll this Instagram or some kind of things, and you wanted to watch reels or something like that. So you know that like study is important. If I ask a question like study is important, or scrolling these reels all is important, means you'll definitely tell study is important. But even though you'll, because of temptation or some kind of things, you'll go for these things. So in that way, what you have to do, in the sense, to improve your self control, what you have to do, in the sense, you have to somewhat close your eyes and you have to count 5 4 3, like that, reverse, or 1 2 3 4 5, like that. You have to count up to 5. So in that way somewhat 5 seconds will happen, and quickly you have to start the work or something which you are going which you are doing, like you are studying now, so you have to study, like that you have to go. And even though if you are somewhat struggling to come back to the work, also same thing, count 1 2 3 4 5, like that, come into the work, like that you do. In that way your mind will be somewhat, you are diverting your mind, I mean from distraction to this task or focus or something like that. In that way you are diverting. In that way it will definitely work out. Just try it on yourself and comment below it is working or not on you, or something like that. So in that way it will be very good, and it is one of the very powerful tip which I personally experienced. And also the second thing is the 40% rule. So the 40% rule, in the sense, when the mind says I can't do anymore, like if you are doing any work, your body will not tired, or your body will not strain or that much. Maybe you'll feel like that, but literally your mind will not cooperate for your body to do certain things. Like if you are studying for long hours, okay, let me take a certain break, or let me end up here. Why? Because I can't able to do anymore. Like that you'll feel. Why? In the sense, your brain will intimate, or your brain will command in that way. Then what you have to do, in the sense, you have to be against. Okay, I had used only 40% of my energy, remaining 60% is there. So let me work, like that. You have to be, and you have to direct your mind. Like that also, it will be one of the powerful tip. It will be very very useful to you. And the third thing is all about dopamine detox. Dopamine detox in the sense it is some kind of process like it is generally something like if you are seeing any reel, or if you are eating any chocolate, or if you are doing anything which you getting some kind of thrill or some kind of kick or something like that. If we are feeling like that, some it is happening, or the reason behind to happen, that is dopamine in our brain or in our mind. Some dopamines will be there when they will release in the sense somewhat it is some kind of happy hormones like that you can relate. So when you eat a chocolate and when you do anything which you love, like if you are scrolling Instagram, new things will come and you like, I do not know, even I tried on myself, like we were scrolling the Instagram or something like that, we will not feel any bore. So like that some dopamines will release, and in that way it will be in one way. So if you do dopamine detox is a process like being somewhat away from this dopamine. So why, in which cases dopamine is releasing, like that you observe. So maybe from phone, or maybe by talking too much to someone, like that you will understand, you will come to know at certain points or certain things. You somewhat, at least for one day you break it, then your dopamines will be somewhat not releasing, and you will able to your brain will able to be stabilize that, and it will be very good. So in that way you decrease the releasing of the dopamine, then it will be very good, and also in that way you can somewhat some improve your this self control. In that way it will be very good. And the fourth thing is stay accountable. Stay accountable in the sense it is some kind of thing like, take an example, with small example I wanted to explain this thing. Like if you tell something about your thing, like I wanted to do from tomorrow onwards, I wanted to do this thing. If you tell in that way, it will be very good. Why I'm telling in the sense, you told that person. So in tomorrow, in after future or something like, if you didn't done, he or she may ask, like on the day you told, have you done that or something like that. So take an example, I was I was planning to wake up at 4 o'clock a.m. So in that way, I tried myself like to wake up at 4 o'clock. It is not possible. I can't able to wake up. Take an example. So I called one of my friend and told that, okay, can you wake me up at maybe he may wake up at 4 o'clock. I may call him. I can call him and I may tell. So like, can you wake up like that? In that way, I can wake up like you can tell him or her like to wake you up at certain time, if it is possible for them. So it will be one of the good thing, and it will be helping you. In that way also it will be helping you, and in that way also we can develop this self-control. And the fifth and last but not least, this is fifth tip or some kind of powerful technique is build discipline and consistency. So building discipline and consistency is very important. Discipline in the sense some kind of strict things, and also consistency. It's a very important thing. Consistency a person should have. Why I'm telling in the sense, somewhat consistency in the sense, if you're doing one thing today, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and after that day if you're stopping, it is not considered as this consistency. Consistency in the sense you have to do the work or task until you reach the goal, or until completing of your task. Like I wanted to tell you something like law of consistency. Law of consistency in the sense, take an example, here one rock is there and here one rock is there. So in this rock A, I'm somewhat pouring 100 liters of water at a time. So for the rock nothing will happen. So for this rock I'm somewhat I kept one tap and I somewhat set it like one drop should fall, like that I set it. You can observe some difference in this rock. Why? Because drop by drop it is coming and hitting the stone, and in that way some hole may happen. If it depends on the quantity of the water, maybe at one moment definitely it happens. It is law of this consistency. So at one moment this rock will damage. So why? In the sense slowly you are doing certain work without stopping. Here itself you done very quickly and it is completed. So in that way you have to understand, you have to relate. So this is the power of this law of consistency. In that way you should be very clear. If you wanted to be a best version of yourself or something like that, start practicing this self-control. And from today onwards, maybe you may think that okay, tomorrow onwards I can do, or afterwards I can do, maybe I'll focus on later, like that. Don't ignore this thing. Why? Because it is very important thing, and one should have and one should develop these things. Because of this, some relationships are breaking up and some kind of arguments and some kind of disturbance was happening. So if you are having self-control, it will be very good. So you can master your mind, you can master your life. In that way it will be very good, and the person who had self-control, he or she will be very in one way. Like I mean that his presence of mind and his way of approach, everything will be in one way. I'm very sure to tell this and very confident to tell this. So like that, so when a person having self-control, you can observe some kind of difference, and you can feel some good vibes, and in that way. So take an example, you call your friend, maybe you are on that moment, you are not in good mood or something like that. So if you showed all these things like some kind of angerness and some kind of irritation, all these things to her or him, it will be not good. Why? In the sense, if you're having self-control only, you can able to control your emotions, you can control your thoughts. In that way, it will be good. So if you're not having those kind of self-control, you can lose your good friend or a good person. So in that way, it is very important. Try to implement this thing and try it on yourself, and let me know which tip you are going to follow or something like that. If you found this video useful or informative, share to your friends and let them know this about this self-control. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and meet you in next interesting topic.